In that project, we will be building scroll animation only using CSS. Hi, my name is Nazir Ahmad. Welcome to Education, Not Information. We will be building that beautiful CSS animation using only CSS, and the best part will be we will not be duplicating our HTML elements. Okay, let's get started. This is what we have, and I have already created two files here. One is an HTML file and one is a CSS file. We need these two files, hide the bar, and the HTML contains nothing but just an HTML file with some title and CSS link, and I have a header is that one where I'm displaying a big text which says education is not information with some color, and I don't have anything else except that as a script we're not going to be using this script. This is only for the JavaScript user, is a bonus point. And CSS, I have some CSS provided for you guys, and HTML I have the adjust the font size for all element to 62.5%, which will make my VanRam equal to 10 pixel, and I have some styles, a really basic styles provided here. The style is for the header intro, and this is for the h1 I'm using here. Nothing I have here. What we start, we're going to use everything down here. I'm going to go to the HTML. Beneath the header element, I'm going to create a main element. I will give them a class of container which will contain all my scrolling items. I'm going to take the container, save it, and go to the CSS, and then just give them some basic styles. I will be using CSS logical properties. What the logical properties are, they just inline size mean width and block size mean height. I will give them 100% of width, and block size I will be giving him NaNoRAM. Just to see, I will give them some background color, purple maybe, is what we see right now. What we'll do, I'm going to move my container a little bit down, merge block, start means from top. I'll give them 5 RAM. Maybe that's too much. I'll give them 1 RAM. Now we have our container. I want to declare variables, CSS variable. Instead of using static numbers here, I will be calculating the height and the width of the items. For that I need a variable. I can declare variable inside the CSS, but I do need a variable in HTML. The reason that is, I will be telling you later why I need them here. I can declare the variable here in the style attribute. I need two variables, one the width of, I can say width variable, and the width I need for that one is to be for each item. That means I am a variable for each item, not for the whole block. For each item I need 13 RAM, which is 130 pixel, and a height I need 90 pixel, which is NaNoRAM. I'm going to save this. I'm going to use them inside my style instead. Here I need to use the variable for the height. Okay, we have our container. Now the next element we want to create here inside the main element, it will be our unordered list, which will contain, I will give in the class of the list, and which will contain li items. I will give them the class of items, and they can have, for example, they can have maybe 5 items or 7 items. Let's create for now 7 items. I'm going to give them in numbers as well. This, yeah, almost 7 items here. I'm going to go back to the styles here. I'm going to style them first. There will be nothing. I'm just going to apply the styling. I'm going to apply the style for container. Inside the container we have a list, and I'm going to style the list item first. So the list type, style type should be none. I'm going to display flex, and I'll have, or I can say 100%. And this is what we want for the moment, that what we want for the list. And we of course want to style each item as well, which is the class of item. We're gonna have a width and height for this as well, and we'll have a inline-size, a width of width property, and then we have a block, which will be a height property. I'm going to save them, and then we're going to give them some border to see each item, make them lime and green. I don't need the background color here anymore. I'm going to remove this. That is what we have right now. If you see, these are the items that we have, 7 items. But what we want to do now, I want to all my item on the left side of the screen. The point is they need to come from the left side and move to the right. They need to come from the left side, I mean, because of as I'm watching the screen, it will be my right side, but it will be left side of the screen. And that's the reason I said left side of the screen. It's going to move from right to left. It's going to move from left to right from the screen, and right to left from my viewpoint. And for that, I need to make my items position absolute. And when I make them position absolute, all the items will be stacked on each other. I'm going to move them 100%, and it should be relative to the parent element. Once I save, we see all my elements are stacked on each other, and they've been moved onto the right side of the screen to my viewpoint. Now we want to move them to the left side of the screen. For that, we need to create an animation. Let's just create an animation, and we'll create, before I'm explaining anything else, you might get confused. Let me just get things step by step to not get you confused. I will name it scroll, and then I'm going to move from left 100%. That's what I said. My items are on the left side, which is left 100%, which I want to again left, and then I'm going to calculate with times -1. And as you see, I said left. Why I'm moving because I'm moving from the left side from item to the left, but I'm taking each item from the left side and times -1. -1 is the gap I'm giving to each element. That's how much gap I will need to have between each element to move. We will not see that one now, but let me just apply the animation to each item first. I'm going to apply the animation here to each item, and the animation, the name is scroll, and let me get 20 seconds is the animation time. It will be linear and it will be infinite. And let me save, and my animation is moving. Because they are stacked on each other, I only see one item moves. First of all, I need somehow to give each item, this list item, have an inline size of 100%. That is not enough, because I want, whatever in the future we have more items, 20, 30, 40, this will have in negative effect. Okay, I will leave this. I can't show you this now. Before I will show you this, first I need to declare the delay of the item. How can we separate the item to delay each item by some time? To do that, for that I need some variables. First I need to know how many items do I have here. I have 7 items here. I need another variable which will tells me the total of the item. Total of the item is at the moment 7, and I also want each element have a different position. We can give each element in a different number, like 1 and 2 and 3, and then we can apply each item a different time delay. The better way is to give them in a variable and use them at one time calculation, and it will gonna each element and delay each element for us. Let me just declare the variable in the style. I will call it position, and each position will have the unique number or ID. And let me just expand it to see it. I need to change this one to different numbers where we can calculate each item differently. Now we have a position, each item have a unique position variable. Now we're going to save this. We have 2 items, total and position. We want now to go back to the CSS, and we're going to calculate the delay, animation delay. This is animation delay, and we're going to calculate. We're going to have the first condition. Our first condition, it should match time we have specified here. They both should match because that's how this is going to delay it. If we say 20 divided by total items, and it's going to divide it by total items. Let me just write the whole formula, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to explain you everything again. For, and then be in second condition. Here I can't see it. Var position -1. And if we go now, as you see, each item has been separated now. Now each item is in their own cell, but there is a problem with the spacing. They don't have their own width. And this is what I was talking about, the width. And the width, because of the width, it doesn't have any information from the list from the UL element which we have here, and this element does not have enough information for each element. And we can tell them if the min width of the item, you can calculate this one and say var each width of the item width times var total. Now it will give us each element separately because we are multiplying each item. There's 7 items times the total 7. It will give us space for 14 items, which will have exactly the same spacing. And of course we have 7 items because they are looping through. You need enough space spread, and that's how we can calculate the width of the we need to provide them in inline size, where we can have each item have their own size, definitely their own size. Now I was also saying to explain you this formula, how this formula works. Let me just open the developer tools and go to the let me zoom it out a little bit. I go here and I'm gonna zoom it in. I'm gonna explain you what that is. We have, first thing is we have 20 divided by 7. It will give us 2.8 seconds. Yeah, and this 2.85 second times 1, that's the first item. If you do 2, that's the second item. That means the first items, when the first time items goes, the second item will go after 2.85 seconds. That's how it's going to have the delay. And we're doing -1. The -1 means, that means when the first item has been gone, then you need to go to the second item. This is the second item, this is the third item, this is the fourth item. That's how the delay works. That's how the formula works. That's the reason we are roughing these. We need to have exactly the same timing we're providing here in the animation, and then we will give us the exactly same time where we can have the delay. And if we refresh and go back, you will see the item is delayed for certain times, and then it go back to here. And for the scroll bar, we can provide to the container overflow hidden. It's going to hide our scroll bar. Yeah, now as you see, we have our items. All the items are coming, they're working. Because this has to do with the height, because this height is the container should have a little bit more height than the item. What we can do, we can provide extra height here to the container. We can calculate the height and say times 1.14, and it will have some extra height, and we can see the box underline as well. But this items are now working. Everything is working. I can remove the numbers and thing in the boxes. Everything is working. But once I refresh, I'm waiting for some time to see my items. What happened now? Why is it taking so long for my item to come? That's because we have multiplied our item by total, which is 7 times 7, which makes this, of course, is doubling the size of the item. And that's the reason. If we have a lot of item, we might be waiting for a long time. If you refresh this one, for example, we have here a lot of items. Instead of 7 items, we have more items as well. We have here, let's say, a lot of items, and we save and go back and refresh. Nothing's to see. That is not good for the user experience. It's not something we want to do. We need to come for some kind of solution to solve this. To solve this problem, let me just remove back my all these items. Can go back. To solve this issue, what I will do, I will always, when I come refresh or not, when the moment I visit the page, I want the items to have the scroll effect all the time. To do that, instead of doing -1 each item, I will do minus all items total. And the items will always be scrolling. When we start always from here, if I refresh one, as you see, the one is always starting from here, but it does have infinite scroller. This is how you create an infinite scroller, and if you see, it is working. But there are some, now we can apply our own styles. We can make things differently, and I have already provided some image links. I'm going to put images instead of these numbers. I'm going to remove the border here, and of course I'm going to remove the border here. I don't need the border in this one. Everything else is okay. To save it, there's just numbers that are moving. Now we want to remove the numbers. We don't want the numbers anymore. I can just remove all the numbers. Instead, I can have an image tag, and then I can just say image for each of them. It doesn't have to, and it doesn't matter. But then I have some links here. Let's say I have 7 items. I have some links inside the script. I'm going to copy these links, paste it here. That's the first link. The second one, I'm going to do it as fast as possible, maybe. Okay, I have copied all of them. I'm going to close this and go back. Of course, these images are inside the li element. Then we need to adjust the image height and width. We can copy this one and point to the image and give it some width of 100%, which will be the exact same width of the inline, because we're using logical properties. Anyway, we will have exactly the same width and height as the item, 100%, and then we can have object fit cover and save it, and there we go. We have our images. We're going to continue applying our style. I want my images to gray out all the items. I can say filter and then grayscale, make it maybe 1, save it. Now all my items are gray out. I also want hover on element. When I hover on each element, I need to have my own grayscale. Before we do that, I also want to, when I hover on each element, I want to stop the scroll. In other words, I need to pause it. And to do that, we need to have is when I hover over container, when you start, I want each item to pause, which animation will have a play state. I can just pause the state, and I have to make it important. It might not work in some browser. It's good to make it important, to make it workable on all browsers. I can do the cursor pointer as well. When I hover on each item, you see now my item have that delay as well. And I also want hover on each item to have color back. Usually a container, then I will have item hover. Now hover on item, I will change the filter the grayscale back to 0, which will have my color as well, and I will also transform the item to scale a little bit, so 1.3 will be enough. And if I hover, maybe that is less, maybe 5. Now we have scale, and it's working, and it's looking really beautiful. And guys, that is the CSS part. We have done the CSS, the pure CSS animation, which scrolls with infinite scroll. When we refresh, we do not wait for any item to come, and they will work in all sizes of screens. If you scroll smaller, bigger, and they will be working with every kind of screens as well, smaller mobiles, tablet or desktop, or larger ones. But now is the time to make bonus point. The bonus point was create everything we have created here to transform them to the JavaScript. That is for the people who wants to use it in their JavaScript projects, or maybe they want to use it in their own React projects, or maybe they want it in Angular or Vue, or any project which is related to the JavaScript. I'm going to uncomment this one. We're going to create a new section here, an element. We'll give them an ID of root. We will be using this section to put all our element inside here. For that, we can get the root ID. We can say document.querySelector, but we don't need document.querySelector, because if we declare something in the HTML by ID, we can get it with JavaScript, just root dot, and the ID will be visible to the JavaScript. We can say root dot inner HTML. It's going to work. It's going to work perfectly. And what we need the main item, of course. We need to close the main item. Inside the main item, we need an order list as well. Let me just increase, and it will be easy for us to see it. And create an order list. And now we need to loop through all our logos here. We can enter to the code mode and say logos.map through the items. I need the logo, and return each element here, and that each element will be not the one in the main section. I will have that li I need. I'm going to need pass this one here, and I don't need the image anymore. Instead, I can get the image from the logo, because I'm looping through the logos anyway. I'm going to enter to the code. I will say logo. It will give me each image. Alt can stay the same, everything has to be the same, except it's not going to work because it's going to show only one item, because each item should have a unique position. For that, we can use the index. We can give them an index here. I can give it an index and let the system decide how many items are here. The index will be 0 based, but still okay. We can do +1 to make it 1, but it's going to work with the 0 based as well. And we save this one, and we have section in main. Now we should have 2 of them, and we go back. Now we have 2 of them, 1 and 2. And this one is not joined. That's the reason I see this commas here. I need to join these items here. Join with a comma, and then just empty space. Remove the comma. And now if you see, we have our both. This one is the pure CSS one, this one is the one with the JavaScript, the one people want to use. But the benefit one, the one with the JavaScript or React CSS one, is that it can have any kind of elements coming here, and of course we need to also tell them how many items do we need here. I need to just put this one away. I was comment out that one for the people who want to use the CSS, and that one, the totals may be different. It might not be 7 items, it might be more, less, and that's the reason we can get the length of the logo, which will give us how many items is inside the logo. You can enter to the code, and we'll say logos.length, and it will give us the items. But as you see, something else as well. The speed increases. The speed increases because, as I mentioned, it's going to be calculating based on this time. Now, if we have more items, that will give us less time to wait. It will increase the speed of the items. If I say maybe 30 seconds, then it's going to decrease the speed. But there's some small adjustment we need to do before we finish with the whole. And I want to do this adjustment on the container. I want to give them a mask from left and right. Mask the image, which is a linear gradient. It's the same as image gradient. Background image or mask image. I want to go to the right, and then transparent from the left side, and I can have black in the middle, and transparent from the other side. Now my image has been transparent from the left and right, but it's taking too much transparency. We can adjust the transparency. I want 15% from each side and 85% need to be visible. And as I do now, my image is transferred from left and right. If you see here, I can showcase this by changing the mode to dark. Save it, and as you see, there's darker on these sides. I hope you guys like the project and you guys learned something from it. If you did learn something from it and you like it, please do subscribe and like the videos and press the bell icon. Thank you for watching. See you next time, inshallah.